The year was 1187, and in the scorching desert of the Holy Land, something impossible was about to happen. 400 of Europe's most elite knights, men who had survived countless battles against Saladin's forces, were about to vanish without a trace. What you're about to hear is one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, a disappearance so complete, so baffling, that even today, nearly 1,000 years later, no one can explain what happened to the Knights of the Sacred Crown. Their story was deliberately buried by the Church, hidden from chroniclers, and erased from official records. But fragments of the truth have survived, scattered across monastery libraries and forgotten archives. And what these fragments reveal is far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. Picture the Crusader states in the late 12th century, a collection of Christian kingdoms carved out of Muslim territory through decades of brutal warfare. Jerusalem had fallen back into Muslim hands, and the remaining Crusader strongholds were under constant siege. It was a world where survival depended on steel and faith, where knights lived and died for the promise of eternal salvation. But in this harsh landscape, one group of warriors stood apart from all the others. The Knights of the Sacred Crown weren't officially recognized by any major military order. They weren't Templars or Hospitallers or any other well-known brotherhood. Instead, they were something far more mysterious, an elite company of knights who answered directly to a secret council within the church hierarchy. Their very existence was known only to a handful of papal officials, and their mission was so sensitive that it was never committed to written records. What made these knights so special wasn't just their fighting ability, though by all accounts they were among the most skilled warriors of their generation. It was their absolute loyalty to a cause that went beyond mere conquest of the Holy Land. According to the few surviving references, the Knights of the Sacred Crown had been tasked with protecting something so valuable that the Church was willing to risk 400 of its best fighters to keep it safe. The leader of this mysterious order was a man known only as Brother Marcus. No family name, no title beyond his religious rank, no recorded history before he appeared in the Holy Land sometime around 1185, but those who encountered him described a figure of extraordinary presence. Tall, scarred from countless battles, with eyes that seemed to burn with religious fervor. He spoke little, but when he did, men listened. Even veteran crusaders who had fought alongside kings and emperors. Brother Marcus and his knights operated from a fortress that doesn't appear on any medieval map, hidden somewhere in the mountains between Jerusalem and Damascus. The stronghold was said to be impregnable, carved directly into living rock and defended by walls that had never been breached. Local Bedouin tribes spoke of it in whispers, calling it the Fortress of Shadows, and warning travelers to avoid the surrounding valleys after dark. For nearly 2 years, the Knights of the Sacred Crown had carried out their mysterious mission, striking without warning at specific Muslim targets, not for territory or treasure, but apparently searching for something. They would attack caravans carrying certain types of cargo, raid libraries and scholarly institutions, and interrogate captured scholars with questions that seemed to have nothing to do with military intelligence. Muslim chroniclers of the period noted the strange behavior of these particular crusaders. Unlike other Christian knights who fought for land or glory, Brother Marcus and his men seemed driven by an almost supernatural urgency. They would risk everything for objectives that made no strategic sense, charging headlong into impossible odds to secure items that appeared worthless to ordinary soldiers. The mystery deepened when Saladin himself took notice of the Knights of the Sacred Crown. The great Muslim leader who had reclaimed Jerusalem and defeated the combined armies of Christian Europe appeared genuinely concerned about this small group of warriors. He issued specific orders that any member of the order captured alive was to be brought directly to him for personal interrogation. Something about their mission had attracted the attention of one of the most powerful men in the medieval world. But it was in the autumn of 1187 that the truly inexplicable events began to unfold. Brother Marcus received word through church channels that his order's long search was finally nearing its end. Whatever they had been looking for, whatever secret mission had brought 400 elite knights to the Holy Land, was about to reach its climax. Witnesses later reported seeing unusual activity at the Fortress of Shadows, lights burning throughout the night, and the sound of chanting that could be heard for miles across the desert. On November 15th, 1187, something extraordinary happened. Every single knight of the Sacred Crown, all 400 of them, rode out of their fortress in perfect formation. They were accompanied by a heavily guarded wagon train, the contents of which were concealed beneath layers of canvas and religious symbols. Local observers noted that the knights appeared different somehow, their usual grim determination replaced by something that looked almost like anticipation. The destination of this massive convoy was apparently a remote valley known to the Arabs as Wadi Alsur, the Valley of Secrets. It was a desolate place, avoided by local populations due to strange phenomena that had been reported there for centuries. Unexplained lights in the sky, sounds with no apparent source, and a persistent feeling of unease that affected both man and beast. Even the most hardened desert warriors preferred to take longer routes rather than pass through Wadi Alsur after sunset. What happened next defies all logical explanation. According to multiple independent sources, including Bedouin tribesmen, Muslim scouts, and even some Christian pilgrims who observed from a distance, the entire column of knights entered the valley at approximately midday. The observers could see them clearly as they made their way along the valley floor, their banners flying in the desert wind, their armor glinting in the harsh sunlight. Then came the phenomenon that no one has ever been able to explain. Witnesses described a strange mist or fog that suddenly descended upon the valley. This was unusual in itself, as the desert climate rarely produced such weather. But what made it truly bizarre was the way the mist seemed to move, swirling in patterns that defied the natural wind, concentrating around the knight's column like a living thing. As the mist thickened, observers reported hearing sounds from within the valley, not the clash of weapons or cries of battle that might be expected, but something far stranger, a low humming or chanting that seemed to come from the very rocks themselves. Some witnesses described it as beautiful, others as terrifying, but all agreed it was unlike anything they had ever experienced. The mist lingered for approximately 3 hours, completely obscuring the valley floor. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it began to dissipate, revealing the valley below in crystal clear detail. But the knights of the Sacred Crown were gone. All 400 warriors, their horses, their wagon train, even their banners and equipment had vanished without leaving so much as a hoof print in the sand. The first investigators to reach the valley floor found something that defied all explanation. The ground showed no signs of disturbance, no tracks leading out of the valley, no evidence of a battle, no abandoned equipment or dead horses. It was as if 400 armored knights and their entire supply train had simply ceased to exist. The only unusual feature was a series of strange markings carved into the rock face at the valley's center, symbols that matched no known language or script. Word of the disappearance reached both Christian and Muslim authorities within days. Saladin himself ordered a massive search of the surrounding territory, convinced that the knights had somehow escaped and were planning some sort of surprise attack. But no trace was ever found, not a single piece of armor, not one horse's bridle, not even a fragment of cloth from their banners. The church's response to the disappearance was even more telling than the event itself. Rather than launching an investigation or demanding answers, Vatican officials seemed determined to pretend that Knights of the Sacred Crown had never existed. All official records mentioning the order were quietly removed from church archives. Brother Marcus was struck from all ecclesiastical rolls, and any priest or monk who asked questions about the missing knights found themselves transferred to remote monasteries where their curiosity could do no harm. This systematic cover-up extended beyond the church hierarchy. Chroniclers who had previously mentioned the Knights of the Sacred Crown in their writings suddenly stopped referring to them. Maps showing the location of their fortress were altered or destroyed. Even the Crusader nobility, who had initially been concerned about the loss of 400 experienced fighters, gradually stopped mentioning the missing order in their correspondence. But the cover-up wasn't entirely successful. Fragments of the truth survived in unexpected places. Bedouin oral traditions preserved stories of the ghost knights who rode into the Valley of Secrets and never returned. Muslim scholars recorded brief mentions of the strange events, and in the private letters of a few Crusader knights, carefully hidden away in family archives, there are references to the brothers who found what they sought and the price that was paid for forbidden knowledge. Modern attempts to investigate the disappearance have yielded equally mysterious results. The valley that Arab sources identified as Wadi Alsur can no longer be definitively located. Military historians have found no evidence that the Knights of the Sacred Crown ever existed, and church authorities continue to deny any knowledge of the order. It's as if the entire episode has been systematically erased from historical memory, but perhaps the most intriguing clue comes from an unexpected source. In 1943, British archaeologists working in the Judean desert discovered a sealed chamber beneath the ruins of a Crusader castle. Inside, they found a collection of artifacts that didn't match any known Crusader order. Weapons and armor bearing the symbol of a crown surrounded by thorns, and a single parchment written in Latin. The parchment, which has never been made public, allegedly contains a partial account of the Knights of the Sacred Crown's final mission. According to those who have seen it, the document suggests that the order wasn't searching for treasure or territory, but for knowledge, and specifically, knowledge that the church considered so dangerous it could never be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. The text apparently describes the discovery of ancient texts or artifacts that predated Christianity itself, items that contained information about the true origins of religious belief in the Middle East. The Knights of the Sacred Crown had been tasked not with preserving this knowledge, but with ensuring it was never revealed to the world. Their mission was to find these dangerous secrets and destroy them. But according to the parchment, something went wrong. The knowledge they found was more powerful than anyone had anticipated, and the process of destroying it required a sacrifice that the church hadn't expected. The document breaks off at this point, but the implication is clear. The 400 knights didn't disappear. They were offered up as payment for keeping humanity's most dangerous secrets buried forever. This interpretation would explain many of the mysteries surrounding the case. The church's desperate attempts to erase all evidence of the order, the strange phenomena witnessed in the valley, even Saladin's unusual interest in the knights. If the order had discovered something that threatened the fundamental beliefs of both Christianity and Islam, both sides would have had reasons to want the truth buried. But the most chilling aspect of this theory is what it suggests about the nature of the knowledge the knights found. What could be so dangerous that the church would sacrifice 400 of its most loyal warriors to keep it secret? What truth could be so threatening that it required not just the deaths of the discoverers, but the complete erasure of their existence from historical memory? Some researchers have suggested that the Knights of the Sacred Crown discovered evidence that undermined the historical foundations of organized religion, perhaps archaeological proof that contradicted accepted biblical accounts, or texts that revealed the human origins of supposedly divine revelations, knowledge that could have shattered the faith of millions and destabilized the entire medieval world. Others have proposed more esoteric explanations, that the Knights found artifacts or knowledge related to pre-Christian mystery religions, or discoveries that revealed the true nature of consciousness and reality in ways that medieval minds couldn't comprehend. The strange phenomena witnessed during their disappearance, the mist, the sounds, the complete vanishing, could have been the result of forces or technologies that humanity wasn't ready to understand. Whatever the truth, the disappearance of the Knights of the Sacred Crown represents one of history's most successful cover-ups. For nearly 9 centuries, the truth has remained hidden, protected by the silence of institutions that clearly know more than they're willing to admit. The 400 warriors who rode into that desert valley took their secrets with them, leaving behind only questions that may never be answered. But perhaps the most disturbing possibility is that the cover-up is still ongoing. that somewhere in the Vatican archives or other institutional repositories, documents exist that could solve this mystery, but are deemed too dangerous for public consumption. The same forces that erased the Knights of the Sacred Crown from medieval records might still be working to keep their secrets buried. The next time someone tells you that all of history's mysteries will eventually be solved, that modern technology and scholarly research will uncover every buried truth, remember the 400 knights who vanished in the Valley of Secrets. Because some disappearances aren't accidents. They're choices made by people who believe that certain knowledge is too dangerous for humanity to possess. If stories of deliberately hidden history intrigue you, subscribe to The Grey Hour for more investigations into the secrets that powerful institutions never wanted you to discover. Because sometimes the most important questions aren't about what happened, but about who decided we shouldn't be allowed to know.